Hey guys, so in this video I wanted to talk about some of the authors who I've enjoyed so much over the last year or two that they've become automatic buy authors for me. What do I mean by automatic buy author? I mean that no matter what, no matter when these authors put out a new book, I'm going to get in my car, I'm going to drive down to the bookstore, shop around for 30 minutes, price compare, grab a coffee, come back, and probably order it on Amazon because that's typically what happens. I'm actually kidding. I like to support bookstores, especially small ones, and I like the experience of going to a bookstore like we all do. But the Amazon thing does happen sometimes. First of all, I just want to make a caveat to this list. I'm going to exclude a couple authors. For example, Robin Hobb, I'm not exactly sure she's writing a whole lot. And if she is, it's not in the realm of the elderlings, I don't believe. She's, that's a long time ago now. But if she was writing more in that, I would definitely go and add that to my collection because as you guys know, I've been reading Robin Hobb and I would definitely add to that collection and continue with that whole series because eventually I want to make my way through all of it. So I would go and buy that book. But I don't think she's writing in that world anymore. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. I'm very curious if I got that wrong. But as far as I know, she's not. So she's going to be off this list, as well as, for example, like Brandon Sanderson. He is so prolific. He writes so much. We were surprised earlier this year with the announcement of the 4 or 5 secret novels that he wrote with, a record-breaking GoFundMe campaign. So he's one where, I've read Mistborn, I've read Elantris, I've read The Emperor's Soul. I haven't read the Stormlight Archive yet, but he has so much, back catalog for me to go through. And he's so prolific and he's so busy as an author. It's crazy. So he's off this list because I'm in no rush to get to Brandon Sanderson. I know there's going to be plenty, and I'm going to take my time and go through everything that he has right now. And as new books get released, especially in the Stormlight Archive, because I do own all of them so far, I'll add to that collection as it comes. But for now, he's off this list. With that out of the way and in no particular order, let's get to this list. So number 1 on the list is my man, Blake Crouch. Now, I've been captivated by his writing since I read Dark Matter last year, and then I read Recursion, and then I read the Wayward Pines trilogy. Now, if you haven't read the Wayward Pines trilogy, or if you've just seen the show, I would urge you to go and pick those up. I think that would be a great starting point. Dark Matter is a lot of people's entry because I think it's his most recent book, except for Upgrade, which comes out, I think, in June, if I'm not mistaken. Now, Dark Matter is an incredible sci-fi thriller that explores some really cool themes, like what it would be like to explore kind of the paths not taken, if you could alter the course of your life, or even just see what those other courses would look like. If you could live them, if you could alter them, what that might look like and how that would impact the world around you. It's a very, very cool story, and he's really good at not making the book too dry with the science, but putting just enough in there where you're like, wow, this is very plausible. This could definitely happen. So without exception, I've enjoyed all his books immensely. I have some of his older books on my shelf as well. And not that long ago, I read an older book of his called Abandon with some friends of mine. And I've definitely tempered my expectations, as you probably have to do when you go and read back through an author's, back catalog and go back in time. You would hope that most authors get better as they progress. But so far, I've liked everything, and he's definitely one where any book he puts out, I'm going to go and buy. I'm very much looking forward to Upgrade that comes out in the next couple months. His books are definitely page turners. His writing is very quick and punchy. He uses sentence fragments quite deliberately with very good effect, I think. And he writes, in general, very, very good, in my opinion, sci-fi thrillers. I think that's what we would call them. He explores a lot of interesting themes, like I mentioned in Dark Matter. The Wayward Pines trilogy is some of the most fun I've had reading. If you haven't seen that, please, you should go check it out. If you ask me what a good starting point with Blake Crouch would be, I would say probably Dark Matter if you like the thriller and suspense kind of genre, and I would definitely recommend the Wayward Pines trilogy if you have any affinity towards sci-fi. So Blake Crouch is on this list. Whatever he puts out, I'm gonna go out and buy. Next up is Kristoff. If you saw my last video, you'll know that I'm reading the Nevernight trilogy right now, with hopes of starting the Empire of the Vampire probably in the next maybe few months. I can say with confidence that even having read just a couple books by him so far, I really, really vibe with his style. I really like his writing. And if you guys haven't seen the interview with Mike from Mike's Book Reviews, I'll try and leave a tag here. I'm still getting used to YouTube. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to leave a thing where you can watch that video, because Jay Kristoff seems like such an awesome guy. He's a hilarious Aussie, somebody who you just want to crush a beer with, and seems like a great guy. Very, very funny. And there's an ongoing joke about him kind of looking like Dave Grohl. So if you're into that kind of thing. So yeah, whatever Jay Kristoff puts out from now on, I'm definitely going to go out and buy. I'm really excited to see what he does with the Empire of the Vampire series. A lot of people that I trust have nothing but great things to say about that. So he's one that's on my radar, and I'm keen to see what he puts out over the next couple years. Third on the list, and again in no particular order, is going to be Fredrik Backman. I read A Man Called Ove probably a year or so ago, and I fell in love with his writing. Books don't usually make me cry, but I came really damn close a couple times. He has a way of evoking emotion and writing the human experience in a way that's really impressive and really quite special, I think. My friend Madison did a very, very good review of A Man Called Ove. She can explain that book way better than I ever could, and I'll try and put a link to her video somewhere here. And actually the movie is quite good too. It was dubbed in English, and it was very, very good actually, and it moved her to tears too. And I suggest, if you haven't read any Fredrik Backman, this is where I'd start. I would start with A Man Called Ove. It's a really touching story of an older guy, a pessimistic, glass half empty kind of guy. You learn a lot about what happened in his life, what made him the way he is. There's obviously some life events that happened that changed the way he views the world around him, and it's just a really touching story. As Madison mentioned in her video, I should probably put a bit of a trigger warning here for like suicide themes, but it does not get explicit and that kind of thing. It's just the topic is touched on, and I think some people just need to be aware of that. Since reading A Man Called Ove, I read a couple more books from him, and I have to say I've loved every single one of them. I have yet to read Anxious People, which is I think one of his newer ones. And I have yet to read Beartown, and I really do want to read that one as well. So I'll be fitting in more Fredrik Backman books in between longer series, or when I need a change of pace, change of genre, maybe change of length. So I'll be fitting those in. I'm excited to see what he puts out going forward, and I'll be there for it. Next we have, and I've probably mentioned him in every video I've put out so far, but that is John Gwynne. So I fell in love with his first quartet, The Faithful and the Fallen. I have fond memories of reading that when I had COVID, sick in bed, eating chips, being gross, and I breezed through those and I had a complete blast with them, and I really, really got into John Gwynne's writing right from the get-go. I'm excited to try the next trilogy that takes place, 100 or 200 years later. Aside from that, I have been reading, as you guys know, The Shadow of the Gods and The Hunger of the Gods, which is in the Bloodsworn saga, which is unrelated to that, the original kind of series that he wrote. This is a more of a Norse mythology, Ragnarok retelling kind of story. But John Gwynne has a way of writing battle and action scenes in a way that's so immersive, so well written. He's one of the few authors that can make you completely forget that you're even reading a book, which is the reason why we all read anyway. He's also just a gem of a human being. It comes across in every interview that you see with him, every comment that he posts. He's just a humble, down-to-earth family man, hardworking guy who is just a very, very good writer and who deserves all the success that he's been given. So anyway, he's someone that I'm going to continue to support because he seems like a good guy. And so far, I've fallen in love with his writing. I can't wait to see what he does with these series. So whatever he puts out, I'm going to go and buy. Next on this list is Stephen King. Now I've read 5 or 6 books by Stephen King so far, including his memoir on writing, which is fantastic, by the way. I think Pet Sematary is definitely my favorite, even though Salem's Lot is very, very good too, and is actually quite important to the Dark Tower series that he's written and that sort of thing. But Pet Sematary was definitely my favorite so far. Because I have quite a few Stephen King books on the shelf, I'm irrationally compelled to just continue to buy them as they come out. Now, I'm probably not going to own every Stephen King book because I think he's written 60 books so far, but I'm definitely going to complete the collection of books that I think are that are known to be his most popular, or ones that I know that I'm going to like the most. I might just keep to those on the shelves due to space. Another thing is, he's definitely not getting any younger, and unfortunately, such is life. We don't know how many more Stephen King books we're going to get. So I'd like to be part of the group that goes out and buys any new Stephen King books that we're lucky enough to get. The next of which is going to come out, I think, in fall of this year, maybe summer or fall of this year. And a lot of fans are super excited because it's going to be his first true fantasy book that he's written in decades, like many, many years. So when this one comes out, I'm going to go and buy it just like everybody else. And that one, I don't know if we don't know if it's going to be connected to any other of his books, if it's going to be in the multiverse or not. There's speculation around that, but I'm probably going to go out and if it's not super, super connected, I probably won't save it and I'll read it on release day with everyone else. Because if it is connected, I kind of want to save it and not spoil everything. That's the hardest thing with Stephen King books is some of them are so connected that you have to kind of keep them until you've read other ones. You don't have to, but I'm the type of person that if there's some connections and some foreshadowing and some elements that, you know, are made all the more impactful or better when you've read something in advance, I'm probably going to just do that and save it. But I'm hoping that I might be able to get away with reading it when it first comes out with everybody else. So we'll see how that goes. And lastly, we have Kristoff Ruocchio. Now, this is a bit of a unique situation because Kristoff Ruocchio is an automatic buy author for me, but I haven't read any of his books yet. Let me explain. Now, Kristoff Ruocchio is known for his Sun Eater series. There's 4 books right now, including a few novellas. And the most recent Kingdoms of Death came out, I believe, in March of this year, so last month. It's touted as a sci-fantasy series or like sci-fi fantasy. Fans of both genres are loving it, and I'm excited to jump into it. I actually own all the books. My Kingdoms of Death copy is actually signed from Quail Ridge Books in North Carolina, where I think Kristoff Ruocchio lives. But so far I haven't been able to fit in the first book, which is The Empire of Silence. It's actually really hard to find the hardcover of the first book. Now, because I have very generous friends, I was actually gifted on my birthday a beautiful hardcover copy of that book, which I'm very grateful for. And so I actually have 2 copies of the first book. I have a UK cover and the US cover, which again is very difficult to find. So I'm excited to start this series, but to date I haven't yet. But Kristoff Ruocchio is extremely gracious with fans. He connects with them on all platforms, and he's very, very available. If you have questions about the series or about any of the books, I'm sure you can find a way to message him, and I'm pretty sure he'll message you back. He actually has a YouTube channel as well. I believe it's called The Sun Eater, and he's very active on there. His series has gained a lot of momentum in the last little while on in the book community, on BookTube and elsewhere, and he just seems very deserving of all the success, and he just seems like a really good guy, and I can't wait to try these books. I know that I'm going to enjoy them. From everything I've read and everything I've heard from people that I trust and people whose tastes align with mine, they say that these books are incredibly well written. The prose is and the writing style is very impressive. The plot is exciting. The characters are compelling. There are twists and turns, and the politics are, intriguing. It's definitely a space opera with a bit of, fantasy elements. And I think it'll appeal to a large group of people. And everybody that I've talked to has just devoured these books. And so I can't wait to pick these up. They look beautiful on the shelves. The covers are beautiful. And, whatever Kristoff Ruocchio puts out, I'm probably going to pick it up, if for no other reason than to show support for an author that engages with fans and, is just, I think, a really good role model in the community. He's busy, he's active, and from what I hear, the series deserves the praise, so I can't wait to try it myself. I'm actually going to link one more video, and that is to my friend Jordan's YouTube channel. He is iWizard on YouTube, and he did such an eloquent, articulate, well-planned, well-thought-out review of, I think, a couple of the books, but I think definitely his Empire of Silence review was worth a view. If you're at all interested in this series, go check out his video. His review is just done so well and in a way that I just could never do. So please go check out that video if you're at all interested in this series. So anyway, that's it for me, guys. Curious what your auto-buy authors are, and do you buy the entire series or do you just buy the first book and see how it goes? I've definitely been bitten before, but I also have that fear of, covers not matching and publishers changing the design and that kind of thing. So I typically buy all my sets together, and for that reason, they sometimes sit on the shelf for a while. But that's it for me. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider it, and I'll catch you on the next one.